She said, hello, mister, pleased to meet you. I wanna hold her, I wanna kiss her. She's made of faces, she's made of faces. She drive me crazy, she drive me crazy. Gonna take you for a ride on a big jet plane. Gonna take you for a ride on a big jet plane. Eh, eh. Be my lover, my little river. Can I take you higher? Gonna take you for a ride on a big jet plane. Gonna take you for a ride on a big jet plane. She drive me crazy. She drive me crazy. She drive me crazy. She drive me crazy.
Hi everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening, and we're going to have a brief introduction from Sophie from the British Library.
Hello and welcome to the British Library for this first in-person Translation Prizes ceremony since 2020. I'm Sophie de France. I'm curator for the Romance collections, which mostly means printed collections in French, in my case. The library holds incomparable contemporary and historical collections in a vast range of languages and has a dedicated multilingual staff and an international community of researchers, students, and visitors. Its multilingual nature appears in its curatorial organization, with departments devoted to European, Asian, African, Americas, and Oceania collections. Translation has been part of the British Library since its beginnings. The collections consist of works in nearly all the world's written languages. They also include the archives of literary translators, sound and oral history recordings, plus a wide range of other materials. It's the library's responsibility to give access to this shared and diverse heritage. In 2017, the British Library launched its Translators in Residence program and has since hosted 2 literary translators. In the words of my colleague Bardad Shamsas, who was involved in the program, what we hoped with the Translators in Residence it was to show how translation can be unveiled, brought to the surface, and celebrated through the library's collections and its activities. That's what we are still hoping to do. As such, the library is a natural home for translation and translators, and for the Society of Authors Translation Prizes. We are delighted to have you here tonight and to host this wonderful event. Now Robyn is going to say a few words. And sorry, I'm just going to bore you with a few words of housekeeping. We are not expecting an alarm tonight, but if there's one, there's a fire exit here. We all go on the terrace, and then we all take the back stairs and out of the library. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us this evening, and thank you to the British Library for hosting us. My name is Robyn Law, and I'm the Head of Fundraising, Grants and Prizes at the Society of Authors. It's wonderful to see you all here for the first time since 2020, and hello to everyone watching at home on the live stream. Our sincere thanks go to all our generous sponsors whose contributions make these prizes possible. This evening we are here to celebrate the art of translation and the translators whose craft brings into English the very best of literature from around the world. Before I started working on the Translation Prizes administration in 2018, I hadn't given much thought to translation. As someone who speaks only one language, something I'm shamefully conscious of considering the company I'm in this evening, I thought that there must really be only one way to translate a text, that one word in one language would correspond to the same word in another. It has been a privilege to understand the depth of my ignorance and to spend time listening to discussions in judging meetings that outline the difficulty and the creativity of the work done by translators we are celebrating this evening. The judges have noted the quality of all of the shortlisted books, and indeed of many books that sadly didn't make it onto the shortlists. I'm grateful as always to be in my role of support, rather than having to make their tough decisions. The books on our shortlists feature translations from Amharic, Arabic, French, German, Hebrew, Italian, Polish, and Spanish, and span novels, memoirs, short fiction, and essays. These can be purchased online via bookshop.org, and a contribution from every purchase goes towards the Society of Authors Contingency Fund, which helps authors in need. I'll be welcoming our runners-up onto the stage, and our winners will each give a short speech or reading, so please be generous with your applause. And so to the prizes. Established in 2017, the TA First Translation Prize is for a debut translation from any language into English, and is shared between translator and editor. Our thanks go to sponsors the British Council, to judge and sponsor Daniel Hahn, and to judges Saba Ahmed and Carl Bradley. Congratulations go to all the shortlisted debut translators and their editors. The judges said of the shortlist, the vast palette of emotion, style, and story in this year's shortlist is testament to some fantastically courageous publishing and a rich range of new talent. The judges selected 2 runners-up for this prize. Congratulations to Joe Heinrich and Gesche Epson for a translation of Marzahn Mon Amour by Katja Oskamp. Unfortunately, Gesche can't join us this evening. Congratulations also go to Abigail Wender and Katie Derbyshire for a translation of The Bureau of Past Management by Iris Haneker. Unfortunately, neither Abigail nor Katie can be here with us this evening, but I hope that they are watching on the live stream. The winners of the TA First Translation Prize are Marta Durosh, Jaka Miroshevich, and Sophie Missing for a translation of Things I Didn't Throw Out by Martian Weir.
Good evening. I spent 2 years having unsuccessful conversations with editors about things I didn't throw out before I met Jaka. who saw in this book the things I saw in it. So translators, it does happen. Congratulations to all the other nominees in the category. I'm very proud of us all. Firstly, huge thanks are due to the judges, Saba Ahmed, Kyle Bradley, and Daniel Hahn, for this incredible honor and vote of confidence, and to the SoA at large. This award belongs equally to my intrepid, brilliant, resourceful editors, Jejka Marošević and Sophie Missing, to whom I am very grateful, and to Marcin Wicha, the author of this beautiful book about personal and collective memory. My thanks to Marigold, My thanks to Marigold Atke and Jimena Goraz at Don't, as well as Antonia Lloyd-Jones and Charlotte Seymour for all their help, and to the Polish Book Institute in Kraków for funding my initial sample. If I, as the translator, may have a personal dedication too, this goes out to all the other translators out there who translate the wrong way around, whatever that means. Thank you very much.
The John Florio Prize for Translation from Italian was established in 1963, and our thanks go to the prize sponsor, the Italian Cultural Institute, and to judges Elena Minelli and Mario Petrucci. As you can see, the judges selected an impressive shortlist of 7 books and said all the translators were able to transfer beautifully and accurately the poetic tones while retaining the content of the original texts. Once again, we have 2 runners-up for this prize. First, congratulations to Jay Ockenden for a translation of Snow, Dog, Foot by Claudio Morandini. And congratulations also goes to Tim Parks for translations of The House on the Hill and The Moon and the Bonfires by Cesare Pavesi. Unfortunately, Tim is unable to join us this evening. The winners of the John Florio Prize are Nicholas Benson and Elena Koda for a translation of My Caste and My City by Scipio Slatipa.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm not good at ad-libbing, so I have a written statement. My voice may sound a little, I have a cold, anyway. It's a great honor to accept this award also on behalf of my wonderful co-translator, Elena Koda. We're both grateful to the Society of Authors, whose recognition means Scipio Slatipa's writing has a greater chance to reach the broader audience that it richly deserves over a century after his passing. We'd also like to thank our editor and staunch ally, Luigi Ballerini, as well as his fellow editors, Beppe Cavatorta, Gianluca Rizzo, and Federica Santini. This work of translation would not have been possible without their support and the support of the Lorenzo da Ponte Italian Library and the University of Toronto Press. To complete this translation, Elena and I worked in close collaboration over a good amount of time, and in addition to the editors I just mentioned, many generous friends and colleagues helped us with our work as it progressed, and one of whom is here is John. Thank you for bringing me. The result of all their encouragement and of our collaboration was a more ambitious and much better project than I had originally planned on when I set out to translate Slatipa. Elena is a great scholar of Triestine literature and culture, and her careful attention to each word of the manuscript and to the contextualizing of the novel in the introduction and notes allow the reader to understand the importance of the novel and its place in time. Julianne House, in her book on translation, noted that in the process of translation, not only the 2 languages, but also the 2 cultures come into contact. In this sense, translating is a form of intercultural communication. This intercultural idea guided our efforts throughout the translation process, and we're very grateful to the Society of Authors for recognizing the value of this endeavor. Thanks.
Saif Gobash Banipal Prize for Translations from Arabic was established by Banipal magazine and generous sponsors Omar Saif Gobash and the Gobash family and the Banipal Trust for Arab Literature. Our thanks go to the judging panel, Catherine Halls, Becky Maddock, Sushila Nasta, and Chair Karis Olzok. They selected a short list of 3 incredible books this year and said of the judging process, at their best, translations take us elsewhere, offering readers stories in cultural landscapes they would not otherwise encounter. The Saif Gobash Banipal Prize for Arabic Literacy translation makes this journey possible. Unable to select a single winner, the prize is given jointly to 2 translators. First, I'd like to welcome Hugh Davies, brother of the late Humphrey Davies, joint winner for a translation of The Men Who Swallowed the Sea by Hamdi Al-Ghalilin.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Members of the Society, ladies and gentlemen, with my parents John and Phyllis and my late brother Robin and his son Crispin and indeed Humphrey himself looking over my shoulder and joining me, I thank most sincerely the Saif Gobash Banipal Prize Committee for their repeated recognition of Humphrey's work. Humphrey had a fine scholastic mind, which combined with intellectual rigor and honesty enabled him to achieve a remarkable volume of work in the last 25 years of his life that he devoted to Arabic translation. He went up to Jesus College, Cambridge in 1965 on a scholarship to read English, but within weeks determined that that study was sterile for him. Following a chance encounter with a Palestinian, he fell into Arabic studies, and from this standing start, and with time spent on the American University in Cairo Center for Arabic Studies Abroad, achieved a first-class degree. He became a rep for Oxford University Press and enthusiastically traveled the Arab world from Morocco to Iraq, including the Emirates, the trucial states as he knew them before there were tall buildings there. He went on to work for Said Badawi and his Cambridge tutor Martin Hines on the Egyptian Dictionary of Colloquial Arabic, the beginning of a lifelong enchantment with that country. He was awarded his PhD from the University of California, Berkeley in 1981, but returned to the Middle East with his young family, both he and his wife preferring that course rather than pursuing the lives in academia that were open to both of them. He chose for his thesis to work on Brains Confounded by the Ode of Abu Shaduf Expounded, 17th century text on Egyptian rural life containing samples of contemporary colloquial Arabic. This fascinated Humphrey, and many years later he made a 3-volume scholarly edition of it. For the next 20 years, Humphrey worked for NGOs and funding institutions in Egypt, Tunisia, Gaza, and the Sudan, before settling in Cairo and devoting himself to literary translation. He was equally at ease working on classical texts, ones from the Ottoman period and contemporary fiction. The bookshelf full of his labour speaks for itself, and of a brilliant mind focused on a language, culture and history that he loved. This is the 3rd time that the Banipal Prize Committee has recognised Humphrey's work. I stood in for him here in London when he was awarded the 2011 prize. On that occasion, as foreigners fled Cairo away from the revolutionary events unfolding on the streets, he had refused to leave and stayed resolutely watching as the tanks rolled into the street below his apartment. The world has lost a superb Arabist. I have lost a superb brother. Rest in peace.
And congratulations also go to our joint winner, Robyn Mosier, for a translation of Slipping by Mohammed Kerr. Robyn can't be with us this evening, but has sent this short video.
I'm sorry that I can't be with you all in London. Greetings from Barcelona. It's been a great honour to have been awarded the Saif Gobash Banipal Prize for my translation of Mohammed's wonderful novel Slipping, and a further honour to share it with Humphrey Davies, the late Humphrey Davis, whom I never met, but to whose work and his manner of working and choices myself and many other translators are indebted. I'm also very pleased that it's Hamdi Abu Ghulail's fine novel that shares this award with Muhammad. It's a novel I read in Arabic, which I loved, and to use a cliche, in which language is the protagonist, and therefore the ideal novel for Humphrey Davis to have worked on. So that Muhammad agreed to let me translate his novel on spec is my good fortune. My good fortune also to work with Karam Youssef at Khotub Khan in Cairo, his Arabic language publishers. Karam has always been incredibly generous and kind with me and produces wonderful books. So thank you to her. And finally, many thanks to Two Lines Press. First of all, for taking the book. Mohammed and myself were incredibly fortunate to work with them. They have been kind and generous and supportive and financially ethical. But most of all, to CJ Evans, our editor, who was instrumental in making this book what it is, which is a book I'm proud of, and of course to Mohammed himself, a wonderful writer, and I hope he's read as widely as possible. Thank you.
In November of last year, we were thrilled to announce the launch of our newest translation prize, the Great Britain Sasakawa Foundation Prize for Translation from Japanese. To speak a little more about this prize and its origins, I'd like to welcome Jenny White, Chief Executive of the prize sponsor, the Great Britain Sasakawa Foundation, to the stage.
Minasama konbanwa. Oh, honourable everybody, good evening. Hello, everybody. Hello, my name is Jenny White, and I'm here with my colleague Rory to tell you how delighted we are to launch the Great Britain Sasakawa Foundation Translation Prize for translations from Japanese to English, together with the Society of Authors, who happen to be our landlords. So no conflict of interest there. We're delighted to be the new horse in this stable of translation prizes, and we can't wait to see the submissions after our deadline at the end of this March. I look forward to standing with you here next year and celebrating the winner and indeed all the entries. Our aims for the Great Britain Sasakawa Foundation Translation Prize, and I'll need to find a shorter way of explaining it, are plentiful. As the lights went out in the COVID pandemic and we were prevented from travelling, so the alchemy of translation took on a vital importance. With translation, we can hear the voice of the writer, and we can see, touch, and smell those other worlds again. As Daisy Rockwell, the translator from Hindi of the 2022 Booker International Prize, Geetanjali's Tomb of Sand, tells us, a good translation should not be used to efface the original, but to bring the original alive. And so our aim is to bring those other worlds of Japan alive, beyond what we are used to and what we expect, into the medium of the English language, so we can realise our shared humanity. We also seek to challenge the imbalance of books in translation. I was doing some research here, and around 5% of books are in translation annually. Perhaps you'll be able to update that, compared with about 8% in Japan. So we also aim to bring recognition to publishers who connect with Japan, to recognise the contribution of women writers, and, of course, to celebrate the skills of the translator. So we hope that this Great Britain Sasakawa Foundation Translation Prize will also be an encouragement to publishers, to translators and writers, so that language is no barrier to understanding common lives and shared understandings. Thank you again to the Society of Authors and to all those unsung heroes everywhere, the translators. Thank you.
I'll return to the business of our current prizes now with the final four of the evening. The Schlegel-Teak Prize for Translation from German was first awarded in 1965, and our thanks go to our sponsor, the Embassy of the Federal Republic of Germany, London, and to judges Katie Derbyshire and Aicha Turkoglu. From a strong list of submissions, they selected a wonderful shortlist and said, what a delight it was to submerge ourselves in our fellow translators' outstanding work. Full of admiration, we found it hard to whittle the list down to these 6 excellent titles, in which a range of translators have created books that genuinely sparkle in English. Congratulations to runner-up Steph Morris for a translation of It All Tastes of Farewell, Diaries 1964 to 1970 by Brigitte Reimann. Congratulations to Damien Searles for a translation of Where You Come From by Sasha Stanisic. Damien cannot be with us this evening, but he has asked me to read the following. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I can't be in London in person tonight. I'm based in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where I assure you I'm not enjoying any better weather. But it is a very high honor to be awarded the Schlegel-Teak Prize for German Translation, and I am very grateful. I'm especially glad to receive it for this book, Sasha Stanisic's Where You Come From. I have translated a lot of books by classic authors, which often means dead authors, and the Schlegel-Teak Prize is one of the few awards for which translations from dead authors are eligible. And yet both times I've won the prize, this year and in 2011 for Hans Kielsen's Comedy in a Minor Key, they were for books by living authors I hoped and hope would enter the ranks of the classics. Sasha's doing well on his own. By my count, this is the 8th major prize Where You Come From has won in German and other languages, and it deserves it. The book is a playful but deep exploration of what it means to come from somewhere and end up somewhere else in very different circumstances, as we all do, one way or another. It is also catnip for a translator, since part of Sasha's journey was to flee the Yugoslav war of the early 90s and come to Germany as a teenager, knowing no German. His and his character's navigation of the cross-currents of Bosnian and German, written in German and needing to be translated into English, make for a dizzying and very fun translation puzzle, and one which goes far beyond wordplay, becoming a moving account of how we grow and change under pressure and threat and the shadow of loss. The book is called Herkunft in German, and a dictionary will tell you that that means origin or origins, ethnic background or provenance. But what dictionaries won't tell you is that nouns are dynamic in German and static in English. Origin is a fixed point, an X on a map, not to mention it makes for a terrible title in English. While Herkunft, from the verb of arrival and a preposition of coming from elsewhere, is the starting point of a journey, precisely not set in stone except to the nationalists and fascists who try to define your identity in terms of where you come from. Herkunft is a book that moves, delightfully and unpredictably, and a title that moves in English too, and that also reminds you to think about where you come from. It is not just a catchier translation, it is true to Sasha's original. My thanks to the Society of Authors for recognizing how lively this book is, I hope in English as well as in German, and for helping it move into the hearts of still more readers. The Scott Moncrief Prize for Translation from the French was established in 1965 and is generally sponsored by the Institut Français du Royaume-Uni. Our thanks go to them and also to judges Georgina Collins, Simon Meir, and Susan Wicks. They had their work cut out with this, our largest prize, which saw over 50 entries this year, which will whittle down to this outstanding shortlist. The judges said, "It's been such an honor to read for the Scott Moncrief Prize and to choose a shortlist. It's been a privilege to see the diversity within the French-speaking world and the talent that exists within it." Congratulations to runner-up Lara Vergniaud for a translation of The Ardent Swarm by Yemen Manai. Unfortunately, Lara cannot be with us this evening. Congratulations to winner Sarah Ardazone for a translation of Men Don't Cry by Faiz Again.
Men Don't Cry is a novel about inheritance, about what we retain from one generation to the next and what we reject. It revolves around a French-Algerian family whose children have grown up in a France that risks either sidelining them or relieving them of their heritage. It's also a novel that's been on a journey. Prior to the publication of Un homme, ça ne pleure pas, Faiz again lost both her father and her editor. Before the publication of Men Don't Cry, she lost her first reader, Boris Séguin, teacher, artist, youth worker, who spotted Faiz's precocious talent when she attended a young filmmaker's workshop and left her notebook behind, aged 14. Energizing collaboration has always been in the DNA of our creative process, and of the 5 novels on which Faiza and I have worked together to date, never has there been more humor or joy. In 2019, for reasons beyond our control, Faiza and I found ourselves revisiting a translation I had embarked on 5 years earlier. And so we were tasked with rewriting younger versions of ourselves. And this in turn brought us closer, my translation and Faiza's rewrites sparking off one another, sometimes simultaneously. It's been the privilege of my translating life to witness Faiza evolving as a storyteller whose wisdom and wit relate to ever wider audiences. As a girl, she listened to her aunt spinning tales by moonlight in the mountains of Western Algeria. Now, her own stories are not only read, but also streamed worldwide, as with her acclaimed mini-series about Malik Ousekine, the innocent student murdered in 1986 in a racially motivated police attack during protests against university reforms in which he was an innocent bystander. One summer's evening, back in 2004, I inadvertently stayed on the bus all the way to the end of the line. So fixated was I with the French proofs of Kif Kif Demain, a first novel offering a counter-narrative to the banlieue as captured in films like La Haine. Today, Faiza's oeuvre has been recognized in her appointment as the youngest international fellow of the Royal Society of Literature. That first novel became Just Like Tomorrow in English and won the Scott Moncrief Prize in 2007. I'm so proud to be receiving this award again on behalf of both of us as Faiza continues to reevaluate what we retain and what we reject in her determination never to be sidelined. As she puts it, her story is the French story, period. That's the official bit. And just very quickly, there is a whole page of thanks at the back of this book because it was such a collaborative endeavour and there are so many people to thank. But very briefly now, Belle Parker, who's in the audience tonight, for her invaluable assistance at an early stage, especially with the representation of Algerian Arabic in English. Rowan Ainde for his advice on the voice of Mehdi Mazouni. Bibi Bakari Youssef and Leila Mohammed of Cassava Republic for believing passionately in this book for readers from Abuja to Deptford and beyond, and this is the first translation they've ever worked on. Mathias Rambaud and Louise Cambau at the French Institute in London for generously facilitating a short stay there so I could finish the draft of this translation one weekend, gifting me with no worldly responsibilities except that I ended up looking after a guinea pig. The Royal Literary Fund and Will Forrester at English Pen for their luminous support, and finally to Faiza and our beloved agent Rebecca Carter for the vibrant odyssey of our friendship over the years, which keeps nourishing us. Thank you.
The Premier Valle Inclán for translation from Spanish was established in 1997. And our thanks go to judges Richard Gwynn and Karina Licorice Quinn. 6 wonderful books feature on the shortlist this year. The judges noted that the list as a whole offered a dizzying range of voices and predicaments and insights into the lives of characters, real and invented, from some very different worlds. The shortlisted works reflect that diversity of vision and demonstrate the inventiveness of the translators in responding to the challenges posed in some brilliant original works. Congratulations to runner-up Julia Sanchez for a translation of Slash and Burn by Claudia Hernandez. Unfortunately, Julia cannot be with us this evening. Congratulations to winner Annie McDermott for a translation of Wars of the Interior by Joseph Zarating.
Thanks very much. So translating the stories of the indigenous environmental defenders in the Peruvian Amazon that appear in this book felt like some of the most high stakes translating I've ever done, and it taught me so much. So to have the book recognized like this feels really, really special. I'd like to thank the judges and the Society of Authors, as well as my editor, Carl Bradley, who I've just seen in the crowd and I've never met, so that's big news. And everyone else at Granta, and Joseph Zarate himself for doing the amazing reporting that led to this book. And I'm going to read a short excerpt, which I now slightly regret because that's not something anyone else has done, but it's happening now. So the book is divided into 3 sections which cover wood and gold and oil, and I'm going to read from the beginning of the section about oil. If God could grant Osman Kunyachi one wish, he would ask for a smartphone, or a football, or to swap his plastic flip-flops for some neon trainers. In fact, thinking about it, he'd ask for a brick-and-mortar house, like the ones he saw once in Lima, more resistant to storms than the leaf-thatched wooden huts of which there are so many in Nazareth. Which is why Osman, an Awahun boy, 11 years old, thin as a wire, in a faded Spider-Man t-shirt, plans to move to the capital to study architecture and have a wife and just one child, because he knows that raising 3 or 4 or 5, as is common in his village, means a life of hunger and poverty. That's what he was told by his dad, a retired teacher who feeds 5 mouths with his monthly pension of 400 soles, around $130, not even half the minimum wage. His father would prefer Osman to be a chemical engineer and learn all about oil so that he can do better in life than he himself has. Because ever since a huge broken pipe spilt around 500,000 litres of that fuel here in this patch of humid, mountainous forest in Amazonas, the second poorest region of the country, some adults have been saying that 1 month spent clearing oil from the river pays 7 times what you could earn farming the land, although they worry that they may have been poisoned. Thank you.
Our final prize for this evening is the TLS Risa Don Porges Prize, sponsored by the Edith and Ferdinand Porges Charitable Trust and administered by Jewish Book Week. Thanks to the judges Nicholas de Lange, Judith Olszolowicz-Lange, and Silla Ratner. The committee felt that the winning translator captured very well not only the lyrical style of the narration, but also the relia and mentality of the Dutch historical background. Congratulations to winner Linda Yekiel for a translation of House on Endless Waters by Muna Elon. Linda cannot be with us tonight, but has sent this short video.
Action. Hi, I'm Linda Yechiel, and I'm the translator of Amuna Alon's book, House on Endless Waters. I would like to express how thrilled and honored I am to have been chosen to receive the 2023 prize for translation from Hebrew to English. I came to this profession fairly recently, and I love it. I love that every new job opens a window to some new, exciting discovery. And winning this prize confirms that I have indeed found my niche and that my work is appreciated and worthwhile. I would like to thank the Society of Authors for giving me this prize, and I also would like to thank my teachers, mentors, and colleagues for their unwavering support along the way. And of course, thanks to Amuna Alon for that wonderful book that she wrote. Many thanks again.
I'd like to reiterate our congratulations to all the translators and editors recognised this evening, and to extend our thanks again to the sponsors of all of our prizes. This work would not be possible without your contributions. These prizes and the event this evening represent the culmination of over a year of work, not just by our esteemed judges, but also by the SoA staff team. Special thanks must go to the communications and events teams, Sophia Jackson, Lily Brunfish, Martin Reed, Teddy McDonald, and Jasmine Scott, as well as to my own team in Grants and Prizes, Anya Pullen and Natalie Thorpe. The shortlisted books celebrated this evening can be purchased online via bookshop.org, and a contribution from every purchase goes towards the Society of Authors Contingency Fund to help authors in need. Thank you to everyone who has joined us via the live stream. It's been wonderful to have you with us, and you can carry on the conversation online using the hashtag Translation Prizes. I'd like to invite all of you here tonight to our drinks reception in the King's Gallery Library, and do keep an eye out for the Blue Badge committee members of the Brilliant Translators Association, who will be circulating this evening for more in-depth discussions on the joy of translation. I hope to see you all there to raise a glass to our winners. Thank you.